Next on Worcester News tonight, Preservation Worcester petitioning to city councilors to prevent demolition of a historic downtown church. Plus, paper or plastic, it may soon not be an option for shoppers in a central Massachusetts town. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Catherine Andrioli. We begin with the latest healthcare developments from Washington, D.C. The House not voting on a Republican plan to replace Obamacare. House Speaker Paul Ryan says the GOP is moving on. And tonight we're hearing from Congressman James McGovern, who has been vocal in his criticism of the plan. The House was expected to vote on the bill, but it was pulled this afternoon. Republicans were having trouble getting enough support for the bill. Governor Charlie Baker had been sounding the alarm about the law's impact on the state of Massachusetts. He said the law would cost the state at least $1 billion in federal aid by 2020. Congressman Jim McGovern says if the Republican plan had passed, it could have been a disaster.
Well, I'm relieved because if the Republican bill passed, a lot of my constituents would have been hurt. Millions and millions of Americans, 24 million Americans would have lost their health insurance. Millions more would have lost health care protections and essential benefits, like mental health care or substance abuse treatment benefits. It would have cut Medicare. It would have cut Medicaid by $880 million. It would have been a disaster.
And President Trump is blaming Democrats for today's decision. He adds that Obamacare will, quote, explode. The Blackstone man charged in the murder of his 83-year-old father faces a judge in central Massachusetts today. Glenn Armstrong was arraigned in Uxbridge District Court this afternoon. He is charged with murder as well as several lesser offenses. Armstrong was arrested in New Jersey the day after his father was found dead inside the Blackstone home where they both lived. At first, Armstrong fought his return to Massachusetts, but the Worcester County District Attorney's Office says he waived rendition last week. Armstrong is being held without bail. And a Worcester man is sentenced to 25 years in prison for the shooting death of a co-worker in 2014. Prosecutors say Vu Van No, seen here in his arraignment, killed 46-year-old Nguyen Nguyen, leaving her body in the parking lot of the Auburn Mall. Vu Van No pleaded guilty to several charges, including manslaughter and misleading police. An Auburn couple is behind bars tonight. They are facing serious charges after police say they robbed a man at knife point outside the Auburn Mall. Our Cam Jandro has details.
Eric Collette and Ann Delsid cover their faces as they're arraigned in Worcester District Court Friday.
Charged with armed robbery, assault, battery with a dangerous weapon, conspiracy. The offense allegedly occurred March 22nd, 2017 in Auburn.
Prosecutors say Collette and Delsid arranged to meet a 62-year-old man through an online advertising site in a parking lot in the Auburn Mall. The two then demanded money before they both pulled out knives.
The female defendant in the back seat held a knife to his throat, while the male defendant in the front seat began slashing at him with the knife in an attempt to cut his wallet out of his pants. In the course of the struggle involving the slashing of the knives, the complaining witness on the case did suffer several knife wounds.
The district attorney's office confirms Collette was also arrested earlier this month for a separate larceny offense. Both he and Delsid were ordered held without bail. Outside of the courtroom, a friend of the couple says she is shocked by the situation.
I was with her about a week ago, and she was fine. I just found out about this a half an hour before court. This is not like her, but that's all I have to say.
Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
A Boston man is sentenced today in connection to the 2015 Worcester Armory theft. Tyrone James was sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison. James had pleaded guilty to several charges. Prosecutors say he conspired to sell weapons taken from the Armory. He's the second person sentenced in the theft. And Preservation Worcester wants to save a historic church from demolition. The group submitted a petition to city councilors to delay demolition of Notre Dame des Canadiens Church. The downtown property is currently vacant and is being considered for demolition as part of ongoing developments to the downtown area. Deborah Packard from Preservation Worcester says they are working alongside a reimagined Notre Dame committee to preserve the historic property. They submitted a demolition delay ordinance which will prevent demolition until mid-April. She hopes in that time there will be interest from developers to revitalize the property. She says keeping the church and its architecture enhances the beauty of downtown Worcester.
Councilors to do is to join with us in asking the people that own the property to give us a little more time. As of February 1st, the owner said that we could try and market the building. We've had some interest from developers. We'd like to explore that and see if we can find a new purpose for the building other than demolition. It was the only building downtown that survived urban renewal when a lot of buildings came down for the Worcester Galleria. And it's important for its cultural heritage, its historic heritage, but it's also just a magnificent building.
Preservation Worcester says several developers have already expressed interest in the property. They are hoping to draw more interest from potential developers before the demolition ordinance expires on April 15, 2017. The developer who owns the property says they've explored renovation and opportunities, but none were economically viable because of the condition of that church. A central Massachusetts town is set to vote on banning the use of plastic bags at larger stores like supermarkets. Selectmen backed a citizens' petition at their meeting this week. Our Brittany Schaefer has the story.
Plastic bags at this Stop and Shop in Grafton could soon be a thing of the past. The town is set to vote May 8th on a proposed plastic bag ban.
Oh, I would love that.
I'm all for it.
I think it's a good idea.
A lot of Grafton residents seem to think the change is a good idea. According to National Geographic, plastic bags do not biodegrade and can take 1,000 years to break down.
We have plastic and all the, I don't know what they call those centers, the dumps.
I don't like the plastic bags simply because there's no convenient way to recycle them. They're not very good in a landfill. They last a long time.
Grafton Selectman Bruce Spinney says the ban was proposed by residents and the board unanimously approved it. The only opposition he's heard is the price. Customers would have to pay a little for reusable bags.
I use the reusable bags. You could have a great impact for a little inconvenience. I think it's beneficial to the town.
If this was maybe $2, I've had it probably for 5 or 6 years.
I've got probably 2 dozen, and I've been using these bags for 5, 8 years.
Spinney says only large stores would be impacted, like CVS and Stop and Shop. Stop and Shop sent us a statement saying, quote, "We encourage our customers to recycle plastic bags and to use reusable bags offered to our customers at affordable prices." Stop and Shop supports plastic bag bans that are broadly applicable to all retailers, not just supermarkets. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
DPW crews from across the region coming together today to honor and remember a colleague. Trucks gathered this morning in Millbury before taking the trip to Longmeadow. They were heading to the funeral for Warren Kohls. Kohls was killed during last week's snowstorm. His truck collided with an Amtrak train. Kohls was 59 years old. He worked for the town of Longmeadow for more than 29 years. There are ongoing discussions about the name of the student-run newspaper at the College of the Holy Cross. It's been called the Crusader for more than 60 years, but a group of faculty members is raising concerns. Rosalind Flaherty has the story.
Discussions are taking place at the College of the Holy Cross about the name of the school's newspaper.
What does the name Crusader mean for a campus publication that seeks to foster dialogue among all students within the student body and all members of the community, regardless of their backgrounds?
Students and faculty have talked about whether the name Crusader should be changed after 48 faculty members signed onto a letter calling it into question.
We want it to be lasting. Whatever decision we make, we want to have this conversation, have it be productive, and reach some kind of consensus.
Faculty, including Rob Bellin, wrote the letter to the Crusader editors. It reads in part, "In the response to the growing anti-Muslim tensions in our country, and to the fact that the Ku Klux Klan official newspaper shares the same name as our own, we, the undersigned faculty members, encourage the editorial board and the Holy Cross student body to initiate a discussion about changing the newspaper the Crusader."
It wasn't that identity exactly right that we said, well, this is something that the campus should think about. It wasn't just because of that linkage, but we thought it was a good representation of how that type of imagery of the Crusader is being used in ways that really don't reflect what we see as the values of the college.
Senior Megan Izzo and her fellow editors published a letter and agreed to start a conversation. Izzo says the newspaper received a letter from a white supremacist earlier in the year and says because they share the same name, the college's paper may be misidentified.
The issue really goes much deeper than that. So it's a matter of what the students feel accurately reflects our identity as a Jesuit institution.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester.